Our next speaker is Nirupa Shankar, Executive Director, Brigade Enterprises and Brigade REAP. As a second-generation entrepreneur, at Brigade, Nirupa oversees the company's hospitality ventures. Apart from hospitality, Nirupa oversees the office and retail verticals at Brigade, along with human resources, public relations, and innovation for the group. She has an analytical bent of mind and has introduced a data-oriented approach towards decision-making in the company. She has been identified as one of the CNBC's Young Turks. She has also won the Face of Future 2018 by India Travel Awards, Construction Woman of the Year 2018 India by Construction Times, Women CXO of the Year 2017 South by Realty Plus. There are many more awards at her credit. Nirupa Shankar will be addressing us on role of infrastructure in building New India.
Namaste Thai Hubli. I'm happy to be here to give the keynote address for TiECON Hubli 2021. I couldn't have thought of a more fitting theme for this year's conference of Survive, Strive and Thrive. I'm sure almost everyone has heard of the Charles Darwin's famous quote, "It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change." While this statement has been mentioned numerous number of times in numerous different of ways by many great people over the ages, it holds true now more than ever. About 11 months ago, we experienced something that we had never experienced before. The world shut down. And while that may have been good for the planet at large, businesses took a beating. The real estate sector, one of the most globally recognized sectors, comprises of 4 subsectors, which includes housing, retail, hospitality, and commercial. Despite the fact that the real estate sector is expected to contribute 13% of the country's GDP by 2025, and despite the fact that the construction industry ranks 3rd amongst all major sectors in terms of direct, indirect, and induced effects on the economy, it didn't receive much direct benefit in terms of COVID relief from the government or in the union budget this year. Our company, Brigade Enterprises, was started by my father, Mr. M.R. Shankar, who happens to come from Chikmagalur. People in Bangalore consider Chikmagalur as North Karnataka, but I'm sure those of you in Belgaum and Dharwad still consider it as southern part of Karnataka. While we have been in business for over 34 years, last year was probably one of the worst downturns we have witnessed in the company's history, especially since we are present in all the asset classes of real estate, including hospitality and retail, which were 2 of the worst hit during the COVID pandemic this year. With regards to surviving this downturn, I must say the situation deemed quite hopeless and depressing about 9 months back. We have 8 operating hotels and most of them had to be closed. A couple of properties remained open with just 1% occupancy or 3% occupancy because a few guests were stuck due to the lockdown. Our 3 malls had to be completely shut as well, with no news of when they would reopen. Our large office complexes were shut down and there were a lot of debate on the relevance of office buildings going forward post the work from home era. Our residential business, which was the primary and the largest sector in our business, was also badly hit, with site visits coming down to almost 0 and resulting in a 60% drop in bookings. However, 9 months later, it's a different story. It's as if we all had to regrow from ground zero and evolve our business based on the changes in the market and turn over a new leaf in order to strive through this new order. The irony of this is that due to these very changes that have happened over the last 9 months, both in the external and in the internal environment, it resulted in Brigade having its best quarter in the company's history. Brigade sold 1.53 million square feet, resulting in 923 crores of sales just for Q3 of FY21, just 6 months after the lockdown. Our market share in the Bangalore market, which was in a low single digit of just 3 to 4% a couple of years back, is now in double digits, probably between 12 to 14%, due to a combination of factors. One, the consolidation that happened in the market after the aftermath of COVID-19 and demonetization of a couple of years ago. The new era of GST and RERA, which requires huge amounts of compliance, made businesses unfeasible for many smaller developers. Along with these external factors, our own internal revised sales strategies and customer connects and launching of new projects at the right location and price met the needs of the current market scenario. All of these helped to a great extent to achieve these numbers. The hotels as well this quarter finally saw a positive GOP of 16%, up from a negative 45% last quarter. Most of this was due to revised sales strategies, the focus on F&B and conference business instead of the room business, which it was previously, and also the reduction in our fixed costs, which is at about 60% of where it used to be. We also focused a lot on multi-skilling our manpower, even though a lot of them had to be let go. The malls are now back to 70% of their business. The hotels this quarter finally saw a positive GOP or gross operating profit of 16%, up from the negative GOP of minus 45 the previous quarter. This was mainly due to the revised sales strategies we implemented, the focus on food and beverage and the conference business instead of the room business, and also we focused on reducing our fixed costs by about 60%. We also worked on multi-skilling our manpower. In terms of retail, our malls are now back to 70% of their business, with close to 80% of the tenants paying us full rent. We had a fair and transparent strategy to help all our retailers through this tough time, and they were very grateful for the support and are now even launching in our smaller and newer malls. We have been able to bring in brands that are entering the Indian market for the first time due to the high quality of our products and services created within this domain. Lastly, the office portfolio, we have had a 99% collection in our rents despite the fact that the buildings are still only at 10 to 15% occupancy. As Stephen Hawking had once said, intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. And while we have all had to change and adopt our business models, there were a few factors that I feel helped us overcome this downturn. 5 of them are listed as follows. The first is leading with compassion. To me, this is the most important one because we are nothing without our team. If you look out for your team and help them in times of need, they will willingly work hard for you and be loyal to the company. While we did have to let go of some people, we did it in a phased and gradual manner, so it was not a rude shock. Wherever people needed more support, we gave it. While cash flows were stretched due to lack of business, we dug into our resources and contributed more than 2.5 crores towards various COVID relief measures, apart from distributing meals and rations and providing monetary aid for close to 10,000 construction workers. We also donated ventilators and ICU modules to various hospitals. At this time, we also launched a charitable public health center to be managed by St. John's Medical College in the south of Bangalore. The health center will be built by us and will provide all primary healthcare needs of a family, including lab, radiology, ultrasound, and pharmacy. It will evolve into a full-fledged hospital with all general medicine, pediatrics, gynecology, and family medicine. The main objective of this health center is to make quality healthcare accessible and affordable, especially to the underprivileged and the underserved. As the saying goes, there is more happiness in giving than in receiving. The second point is, have the right team in the right place. Be quick to respond. With competent people at the helm of each department, it gets a lot easier to respond quickly in moments of crisis. This goes hand in hand with having a proper disaster recovery and crisis management policy and having the preparedness in the organization beforehand. One person cannot do everything, so it becomes critical to ensure that you have the right team in the right place. That is, those who can step up to meet the demands of the organization based on the nature of the situation. For instance, within a few days of the lockdown being announced, our IT team worked hard to ensure that systems and software were in place for almost every brigadier to work from home. Our marketing team was one of the first to hold online meetups with customers who had a lot of questions and concerns about their homes. The third point is to be future ready, to anticipate what might happen. While things cannot be predicted, it is what we do when times are good that determine how we perform when times are bad. We are lucky to have a visionary leader in our chairman who ensured that we created backup plans to plan and prepare for such disasters and crises. Looking back, it was our use of technology that helped us withstand a lot of the backlash of the pandemic. For future as well, we are gearing up by investing heavily into PropTech. Our Brigade Real Estate Accelerator program does just that. It is Asia's first real estate tech-focused accelerator that mentors and gives opportunities to startups to work on live projects with real estate developers. We speak to close to 500 startups a year and mentor 2% of them in our program based on technologies we feel we can use in the future. In fact, one of our star performers is Altaf from Hubli. Altaf came to us with no real product or revenue in the first batch of our program, but has since gone on to become a multi-million-dollar company. His company, Snaptrude, directly converts hand-sketched plans into a 3D BIM-compatible model at the click of a button. The intelligence-enabled rapid modeling software automates the architecture and design processes to reduce timelines by 80 to 90%, thus saving almost 1% of our entire project cost. Our REAP team often does educational sessions at KLE in Hubli for their entrepreneurship cell. We also visit the Deshpande Foundation in Hubli for their startup events. In fact, we met another one of our star performers, the founder of EcoSTP, at one such event. EcoSTP is now a UN-recognized startup for their sewage treatment technology that uses zero power and zero chemicals and saves up to 80% in STP operational costs. It was ranked as Business Today's 12 coolest startups of the year in 2019. The fourth point I want to make is that we all have to stick to our core values. Anyone can do the right thing when things are good, but it is what you do and what principles you stand by when things are bad that truly define who you are. Our core values are remembered by the acronym QC First, which stand for Quality and Customer Centricity First. The first stands for fairness, innovation, responsible socially, and trustworthiness. We were able to significantly improve our market share during this tough time because of the reputation and the trustworthiness that we have in the market. This is all the more crucial when you are in the business of being responsible with the person's life savings and turning it into their dream home. The final and last point I want to make is it's important to have a sense of humor. Most of the times we are faced with tough situations, but it is our attitude that either makes the situation easy or difficult to deal with. Every time you find humor in a difficult situation, you win. Life becomes so much easier, and humor can really become one of your best survival tools. Sometimes you just have to laugh at the unexpected curveballs life throws at you and the irony of the way in which the world works. It also helps in leaving the stress of work at work and not bringing it back home to you and your family. Again, our chairman has been a role model in this. He deals with the pressures of work through humor, which really helps ease the tension at work and lightens everybody up.
Coming from the family background of Brigade Group, did you already see it that you would take it so far to an entire next level, and how did you do it?
I think Brigade is what it is because of the team that has worked tirelessly for the last 34 years under the leadership of our chairman. I didn't know I would join the business while I have been in the company for the last 10 plus years. My only thought while working at this company is, what can I do to add value to this company? What are my strengths that I can use to further this company and its goals? It's an ambitious company, and when I approach my work, it's just to think about how can we take this company to the next level? What is the vision we have for this company, and what can I do in my personal capacity to see it grow? It's going to be a long time before I can take credit for where Brigade is at yet, Like I said, we have a lot of people who've been working with the company for 30 years, 25 years, 20 years, who've seen it through infancy to the large scale that it has reached now. And I think going forward, it's to understand what we want to do and how do we become bigger and better, and what maximum I can contribute personally and along with my team to see how we can reach those goals and new heights.
Thank you, Nirupa, for this interesting talk. We have a couple of questions for you. What is the X factor in your plan of action in keeping up with the innovation in two segments, residential architecture and commercial architecture?
So I feel innovation cannot be thrust upon somebody. You either have to do it because you're interested to do it, but it's not going to happen if somebody says be innovative and then just do it. So for us, innovation is part of our core values. As I mentioned earlier in my talk, QC first is our core values, and the I in first stands for innovation. That's why I think our X factor has been that we like to use innovative practices to build in sustainability into all that we do. For instance, all our office buildings are LEED certified or IGBC certified, either silver, gold, platinum. And we try to use a lot of sustainable practices into what we do, either via using technology, maybe in the raw materials to construct our buildings, innovative softwares to see how much more or how much more we can be in terms of energy efficiency, or how can we lower our carbon footprint. So I think for us, a lot of our innovation has come through technology, and we try to use this to ensure that our buildings are sustainable ones.
Since you began creating your niche by carving out the creativity in hospitality sector of Brigade, what are the latest trends that are going on in hospitality, and what is your vision for it?
So I started my career in hospitality. When I joined Brigade, I was a management trainee, and I started it within the marketing department of the hospitality function. I was very passionate about hospitality because I felt it was the most complex asset within the real estate sector. And there were many pieces. It was like a jigsaw puzzle and many pieces had to come together in order for the hotel to work. Initially when I started, there was a lot of innovation in terms of design. How do you make a hotel, again, more design efficient? How do you maximize the square footage of every inch and space of a hotel? But I guess post-pandemic, the biggest change has been how do you eliminate the fear factor in people in order to come to a hotel, right? A lot of business has just literally crumbled because people are scared to venture out. Of course, over the last few months, we've seen a change. People want to go out. People have been coming out because number of cases have dropped, the vaccine is out, and I'm sure things will continue to improve. But from a trend perspective, what I have noticed is that there's been a lot of touchless technologies that have come about, right? So it's before people wanted to be spoken to, they wanted connection, they wanted human connection. And now they don't want that. They just want to check in with their mobile. They want their elevators to be touchless, them entering their door or room to be touchless. The HVAC systems, which I think will have to undergo a lot of change, because the way in which our filtration systems processes, that will have to significantly advance. Because prior to this, the filtration systems used to filter up to 2.5 microns, and now that will have to reduce to about 0.1 or 0.2 microns, which is the particle size of all these viruses. So our filters will have to go through, our filtrations and HVAC systems will have to go through a major upskilling, I would say. And so there's a lot of investment into that. And apart from that, I would just say now hotels, when you design them from ground up, you'll have to create a lot more open spaces. People want rooms with balconies, they want banquet spaces attached to outdoor areas. So that is the change that you will see from a design perspective of a hotel.
Can you please throw some light on your brainchild, Brigade REAP, Real Estate Accelerating Program? Also, let us know if there is any possibility that you can extend this program to cities like Hubli and Belgaum in North Karnataka.
Yeah, so when I started REAP about 4 years ago, I think we had no idea where it would go. It was just a thought that came up while I was reading the newspapers one day. And I think the country was undergoing a lot of a huge startup wave, and I wanted to know how we could, as Brigade, be part of this wave. So we decided to set up this accelerator, and of course there was a lot of research that went into the various business models of accelerators. And I was surprised to find out that there wasn't a single accelerator focused on the real estate space in the entire continent of Asia. And when we started, people sort of just looked at us like, we were wasting our time and money, and this was not going to go anywhere. And we had to kind of sell hard as to what we were doing. But I think over the last 4 years, we've seen a massive change in perceptions when it comes to prop tech, especially when things become tough, right? People are looking for that additional X factor or extra sauce that will help them make their businesses more efficient. So with technology, what you can do is you can either enhance your revenues, you can cut costs, you can optimize on how time is utilized, you can make a process more efficient. So all these things become a lot more important when times are tough and you have to figure out new ways to enhance your profitability. What I've seen is probably when we started, there was no talk of prop tech, and maybe in the last 1.5 years, it's had a massive, it's received a lot of attention, because even globally, the kind of investment that has gone into prop tech has grown exponentially, and India is kind of a reflection of what's happening in the global market. So I think the global market's almost $60 billion being invested over the last 5 years into prop tech, and India gets about 5 to 7% of that share. Granted, it was all in co-working and co-living and those kind of business models. I think B2B prop tech is the way to go, because businesses have to learn how to survive, and technology is the only way you can expect to grow exponentially and get new advantages to your business.
Our next question to you is, we would like to know more about the continuing trend of your Brigade Buzz. That is more than a usual co-working space. What were the key factors that were on your mind while developing such a space like Buzz?
So when we launched Brigade Buzzworks, it came more out of necessity than a desire to, say, follow a trend. Everybody was doing co-working spaces, that was the buzz. And we kind of stayed away from it initially because we didn't find the business model very viable at the initial stages in the way people were talking about co-working spaces and targeting entrepreneurs and having these fancy interiors. So it didn't make sense to us initially, and we stayed away from it. But what happened is, as we went along, we realized that more so than co-working, it's the managed office space that is actually in demand. So if a large MNC that is a tenant of ours wanted to grow, they were looking to have at least 5 to 10% of their spaces as flexible office space. And when we say flexible office space, it entails having the rentals go by seats, having a shorter term for your lease, and having the fit outs done by the developer instead of the tenant himself. So the flexibility comes in different models, and it wasn't the way in which co-working was portrayed, like, okay, I'm a daytime entrepreneur, I just walk into an office and I take a seat for the day. We actually went a different model of doing just managed offices for our existing tenants. So a lot of our blue chip tenants, when they wanted to expand, it was a value add service that we could provide for them. So while Buzzworks is it's got the look and feel of a co-working, cool, funky space, very vibrant colors and interesting quotes and inspiring interiors, it's actually meant for our larger scale tenants who want some flexibility in their existing requirements. And it was probably a good move that we could do that, because if we hadn't, somebody else would have provided that service within our campus, and we didn't want to lose that opportunity. We also found that the market is moving towards more flexibility. So for instance, maybe 3 years back, maybe just 5% of the demand of office space was in co-working. Today, it's almost 12 to 15%, and we expect it to go up to at least 20 to 25% of the market in the next 3 to 4 years.
Our last question to you is, being one of the most promising female entrepreneur in a male-dominated industry, what were the challenges, especially during the upcycle, where you have to deal with the land mafias, high political holds, etc.? And what would you like to convey to this generation to inspire young women to chase their dreams?
So I think in my job, yes, there are not a lot of women doing what we do, but there's my sister and I in this business. And I think our focus has been to focus on our job and not our gender. Because in the end, we're all here to do a job, and whether you're male or female is not of most importance. I think it's how you approach your job. And you know, whoever you have to deal with, you're in the business of dealing with people. And all humans have similar behaviorisms, and in the end, I think it's your way of how you handle people in all aspects of society and in all various domains. And I think if you approach any job with transparency and with trustworthiness, then you give the right feelers to whoever you're dealing with, and you just go about doing what needs to be done. I think I've always focused on what is the job at hand and how can you get it done, and you find a way to relate to people, to be more approachable. But of course, there are sometimes it is difficult. I will not shy away from saying that. But like I said, I think the focus is not on what are the challenges. It's how can you overcome them and doing what needs to be done. With regards to the new generation, I think they're already doing great. There are a lot of new up and coming entrepreneurs, female and male. And I think what I've learned is over the years, you know, just try to live your own dream. Don't live somebody else's dream. Go after what you want to do in your life. We have this one life, and I think it's very important to do more of what you love to do. And that's something that I have also tried to incorporate in my own career. There are some things that are fun to do, there are some things that are not fun to do. And while everybody has to do the unfun things and a bit of the donkey work, and sometimes it's a lot of it, even if you spend like 15 to 20% of your time doing things that you really love, it gives you the energy, the passion, the drive to do all the other heavy lifting that's required to do your job well. So I would say do more of what you love. With this, I'd like to end with Maya Angelou's words. The mission in life is not to merely survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts and learnings with you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the conference, and I wish you all a happy, healthy, safe, and successful 2021.